Hello and welcome to How I Built This Resilience Edition from NPR. This is, of course, where we talk with entrepreneurs and business leaders about how they're building resilience into their businesses during these very challenging times. And today our guest is Daniela Corrente. I'm super excited about talking with Daniela. She's the CEO and co-founder of Real. Real is a digital platform that helps people save money for expensive purchases like furniture and tech products and fashion. Daniela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Guy. Happy to share our story with you.
And before we get into it, we are taking your questions for Daniela on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or LinkedIn. So please keep those questions coming to us. And before I forget, I wanted to thank our sponsor, Western Governors University, for their support of this series. If you're ready to earn your degree, but you need a university that works with your schedule, WGU's programs were built to be flexible with no set login times and 24/7 access to most coursework. You can earn a respected bachelor's or master's degree on your schedule. Listeners of this podcast can have the $65 application fee waived. You can learn more at wgu.edu/howibuiltthis. Thank you for supporting this show in NPR. And sorry, I almost forgot to mention that. All right, Daniela, let's start out. First of all, tell us a little bit about Real. I know you launched it in 2016. It's a relatively new company. For people who are not familiar with it, tell us a little bit about what it is.
Yes, we're making it very simple for people to set money aside for purchases, right? And we're doing this because we understand that consumer behavior has evolved over time, and we have been led to believe that the only way to achieve our goals as a society is by going into debt. And I became passionate about, consumer psychology many years ago. And after years and years of doing research and seeing how consumers were spending differently, realized that in the market there are a lot of options for savings and loans, but it's very numbers driven. And when you talk about masses, people are driven by emotion, right? You and I, we all like to believe that we're rational beings, but when it comes to numbers, a lot of the decisions that we make come from an emotional place, and that's really where Real came to life. We're using that behavioral knowledge to bring an experience of savings that's relatable for people.
So it's a savings platform, but can you explain how it works?
Yeah, of course. So let's say that you want a new microphone, right? For your show.
This one is great. This microphone is amazing. This one, not so much. Yes, keep going.
Okay, great. So, you want a new microphone. Let's say that it's $300, right? You come to our website. We tell you, Guy, if you put $5 today, you can have it in this amount of time. And you play with it, connect your bank account, and we automatically start moving money from your bank account towards your goal. As you're saving, we're sending you a lot of reinforcement. We tell you, Guy, you're amazing, and you're great. You're going to achieve your goals without going into debt. You can share it with your friends. You can boost that. If there is a deal on the microphone, we notify you. And once you complete saving, all that you have to do is confirm your shipping address, and we place the order on your behalf. So it's a full circle from the moment that you wanted your microphone to the moment that you're interviewing me with your microphone.
So basically, the idea is if you want to buy something, right, like I actually need a Vitamix, a new Vitamix. I have a Vitamix, but
I reeled in mine. Actually,
right.
I use my own product to reel my Vitamix. So yeah, right. It's a great example.
Vitamix is an amazing product, and I don't need to replace my old one because it's great. I need a second one. Don't ask me why. I need a second one. Anyway, they're expensive. So I would say, I'd go to your site and I would say, all right, Vitamix, I link my bank account, and then you would basically take $5 out of my account every month or something like that. And then when
daily or weekly.
Okay, I got you. And when I reach that amount, you would send me a note saying you've saved enough for the Vitamix and you can now buy it.
Yeah, and you confirm your address and we place the order on your behalf. So we make sure that it gets delivered to you. So it's a full-on circle from the moment that you wanted it to the moment that you have it in your hands. Because we've seen that, having this connection between, think about this. As a society, we've always been told that shopping is fun, right? Yeah. When you're stressed, you shop. When you want to have fun, you shop. Savings, it's scary, right? Savings, it's for people that have a lot of money. We haven't been taught to see the potential of our own cash flow. So we saw that by mixing both behaviors, our users are seeing the potential of their cash flow and reaching their goals while avoiding debt.
I mean, we live in, as you know, because I should mention you were born and raised in Venezuela, right?
Yeah.
And the United States is like the credit capital of the world. Like people are, constantly in debt, and I don't even know what the numbers are. It's insane. And people have multiple credit cards. On our show, we interview founders who max out their credit cards to start their businesses, right? But the idea behind this is to prevent that, is to essentially, I guess, to discourage people from just putting things on credit cards when they don't have the cash to pay for it.
It's, there is debt and there is unnecessary debt. And we are highly focused on the debt that is unnecessary, right? Things that you might not need right away. And why are you going to get into debt for it? Like, I'll give you an example. Right? A lot of our users are first-time moms. And when you're a first-time mom and you're going to need a stroller, you don't need it for another 10 months, 9 months, whatever that is. Why are you going to rack out your debt to go for that, right? When you need a new computer or outdoor furniture or even a trip, we have a lot of customers that have started saving for trips. Why don't you start putting a little bit of money aside every day? So then by the time that you get there, you can achieve your goal without having to go into that. I think, as a society, the biggest thing is that there is a cash flow management issue where people do not understand the potential of their own cash flow, and they do not understand the implications that unnecessary debt has in the long term. But that has changed tremendously after 2008. And now we're seeing a lot of that too. Every financial downturn brings new behavior. So, if you look at data from last year, 35% of Americans were looking for alternatives to credit cards, right? Because they're feeling guilty about going into debt. So there is a behavior that has been happening for a while, but there is not a product that has spoken to them before. And that's where we came in.
So would it be fair to kind of call it sort of like a piggy bank?
In a way, yes, it's a piggy bank, but it's not numbers driven. It's lifestyle driven.
Yeah.
Right? It's based on the things that matter to you. When you talk about piggy banks and when you talk about savings in general, people think about numbers. And when there is a goal associated with a number, the likelihood for completion increases by 75%. Right. And so when you just have savings for the sake of have savings, and you have never had savings before, then it's hard for you to actually go through and complete something. And for years, yeah, right, we've been told to believe that, hey, you need to save $1,000 for retirement or a rainy day, but you need to understand the potential of your own cash flow before you're not going to go from 0 to 1,000 if you don't see the possibilities of that money. And that's where we're really leveraging the consumer behavior and the user experience so that we can make those connections in ways that customers feel good about what they're achieving, but also see that potential and those capabilities to avoid that.
And you guys partner with like some big name brand businesses like Bloomingdale's, right? And some others. And is that how it works? Like you basically go on your website and you identify products on the website that you want or that you need, or maybe you don't need, but you just want, and that's what you start to save towards?
So look, you can come into a website and start saving for whatever you want. And that's actually connected with the 2020 story that I'm sure we'll get into soon, right? But you can come into a website and tell us what you want to save for. We also aggregate inventory from thousands of stores. So we serve as an aggregator where we, scrape the web and present you with possibilities of items based on what you have liked before. And that's how you can discover, but you can also sort of start for whatever you want. And we are starting to do direct partnerships with retailers to be part of the point of purchase. So our customers are going to be able to just start, instead of putting something on a wish list and not taking action, like to actually start saving for things as they're shopping.
Daniela, how did you come up with the idea?
It was born of a personal fascination with consumer finance. When I moved to the States, I was the first one in my family to move to the States. I moved here for college. And, in the early 2000s, if you had a pulse, you got a credit card. And that was the way that it was, right? We didn't know any better. I got my credit card. It was a $2,000 credit card. I loved it. I thought I was $2,000 richer.
Yeah.
Funny side story, I even sponsored a child, right? I thought I had so much money that I went to unicef.com and sponsored a child for $18 a month. I was just like,
Yeah. Got
it was,
$2,000 limit.
of course, I had no idea what it was, right? And then really quickly understood what the high interest that I had meant, right? What it is to pay late. And became fascinated with financial psychology and became fascinated in why as humans we make the decisions that we make, because we associate happiness with a certain lifestyle, and to have that lifestyle is connected with money. And so that was a fascination that I had for years. But I didn't do anything with it until, a couple of years ago. And that came out of just working in advertising in New York, a client brief that who's now my co-founder was working on.
Huh.
And, we were chatting one day and he told me, hey, do you actually know that millennials are avoiding credit card? And obviously this is, 14 years after my $2,000 fiasco. And I'm like, wait, hold on. What happened? What happened in these, years that I haven't been paying attention to consumer finance? And I put up a Survey Monkey and sent questions. As a marketer, I'm curious, not with the intention of starting a company, just with the intention of understanding the market. And, got really fascinating answers about people telling me like, look, I don't know how to save. I want to save, but it seems too complicated. It seems too stressful. And then with the years of just selling products to consumers, more on the retail side, I started really thinking about how can we connect this feeling of excitement with savings. And everything started rippling from there. I had to go to South by Southwest for work, and my co-founder too. And we were talking about this idea, and I was asking every single friend at the time, how are you paying for things? What's going on? What has changed? And I remember vividly just having dinner and telling my co-founder, hey, if we're going to South by Southwest, there are a lot of tech people there. I can put a Squarespace website and print business cards, and we can go and talk about this and see if people would like it. And that's how I got my first investor meeting.
And when you started to meet with investors and pitch the idea, like, as you know, as every person who's been on How I Built This is described, I'm sure you got some pushback. I'm sure people are saying, well, why would somebody do that and not just go to an interest bank account? Or why would somebody, do that and not do layaway? Or why wouldn't somebody just get a low interest credit card, right? I mean, what kind of pushback did you get?
Look, the title of this show has the word resilience. And I think every single founder that you've interviewed, fundraising, it's always a full-on story on itself, right? Because you get no's more times than you get yes, but you only need a handful of yes in order to change the trajectory of your story. And, especially when it's a product that it's not relatable necessarily to investors, right? Because they don't need to set money aside for a pair of AirPods, right? Because they don't need to set money aside for the new microphone or the new computer. So data was really important in this journey that has been fundraising, right? Proving that, hey, there is a need in the market, right? Proving that the customer that we're after is a customer that can spend and can spend highly. So we got a lot of pushback as far as questions of understanding consumer behavior. And that's actually what I'm very passionate about. So it was very fun, and it keeps being very fun to evolve the story over time with the learnings that we're having, not only from the hypothesis that we had originally, but for our current customers.
I know you raised about $1.5 million, right? Is that right?
No, we've raised close to $5 million.
$5 million. Oh my gosh!
Yes.
That was getting that initial funding. Was that really hard?
Yes. It's not that it was. I'm going to tell you something. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So this mentality of, you adapt and you learn and you get feedback and you figure out a way to play on that feedback to make things happen have been really influential on the way that I've evolved the company and that I have gone about. every fundraising round. But I do remember, right, when at the beginning it was like, oh my goodness, if we get $10,000, this is all that we can do. And now it's just like $10,000. No, we need to keep growing, right?
Yeah.
And it was actually the first money that we got came from outside of our own money, of course, right? Of savings, freelancing, 401ks, and just putting our own money and sweat into the business.
Right.
It came from an accelerator, and we went through different accelerators, and there was one, which is Mocker, that I really, really liked because of the way that they structure their investments. And I remember going to that meeting with one of the managing partners and sitting down, and I'm like, hey, we're talking with all of these others accelerator, and this is why I like this one. This is what I think that we're a good fit for these. And if you're going to make a decision, we need to work into this pretty fast because we have all these other conversations. But getting to that level of confidence took time, right? But it was pretty much on the face, and they believed in us, and they were our first check, and it just catapulted growth for us. But it took a while. It wasn't, it wasn't something that it took 2 days, 3 days, not even a couple of, it took months to put the data out there. Because at the beginning, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this, at the beginning, it's sort of like the chicken and the egg question, right? It's like, well, this is the idea that you have. Show me proof that the market wants that. But in order to show you proof that the market wants it at scale, there needs to be some level of investment. So you're playing with that data in order to deliver a high quality story that they can bite into.
Right. And how does Real make money? What's your revenue model?
Yeah, so we monetize a couple of different ways. So we monetize obviously on the money that we're holding on behalf of the users, right? And then we also monetize through partnerships with retailers because we're driving traffic towards their website, right? We're driving conversion. And so we get paid for that.
So when the money that people are saving, there's obviously an interest payment that you earn on that. And then in addition, there's a fee that you get when people buy the product.
Correct. And there is actually a really interesting story there on revenue structures because, when we started the product, we were a free product. And the reason I'm bringing this up because I think like pricing psychology is fascinating. And we were a new company and people would call us, email us, like, why are you free? Why are you free? Where's the catch? And this is, mind you, Cambridge Analytica era, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And so me and my co-founder, we sat down and we're like, okay, look, we're spending a lot of time responding to people and explaining how we make money. And talking to our investors, they were like, hey, why don't you charge? And we're like, this is not what we want for our product. So we actually were like, let's A/B test this.
Right.
And we did. And we saw higher conversion when we started charging a fee to use the platform, which was fascinating.
Wow.
So we started charging a fee to use the platform, saw higher conversion, saw higher trust, which makes perfect sense because we live in the era of Airbnb and DoorDash, right? And people used to service fees. So right now we're currently A/B testing, removing that fee again because we want to add value for customers over time. And that's something that goes against the belief that we have as a company. We believe that this should be a free product for customers, but it definitely, as everything, while building a company, it's been a learning curve.
If you're just joining us or if you've been watching, we're taking your questions. If you got questions you can ask them through Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or Twitter, however you're watching. For Daniela Corrente, she's the CEO and co-founder of Real. It's a digital platform that helps people save money for big purchases or even small ones like furniture, tech products, fashion, whatever you want to buy. Daniela, let's talk about 2020. This year has been unlike any year in living memory, obviously. For some sectors, it's been really challenging, incredibly challenging. The restaurant industry and travel and leisure, the service industry, even retail apparel it's been really tough. And obviously for small businesses, how have you guys been doing this year? I know you've got a team of about 20 people, so presumably you're working in a distributed way. But what are you seeing? presumably people can save more money because they're not traveling. They're not going to restaurants, for example.
Yes. So there are a couple of things there, right? 2020 has definitely been a very interesting year. I think as entrepreneurs, if every year we grow at a 5x because of everything that we learned, this year it's been like a 20x exponential growth on so many different angles, because it's not only running your business, but setting new structures for your team to work remotely too, right? For us, because it's safe to buy, actually everything that has happened with COVID has accelerated this behavior of people to look for alternatives, right? If you look into data, people are saving now more than ever. And of course, they're saving more because they're not going out. But the underlying there, it's the behavior over time. And it happened after 2008. You could see how millennials had less credit cards than the previous generation because they saw what their parents went through, right? Now with everything that's happening with COVID, we're seeing that people are realizing that living paycheck to paycheck is not the way to go. But at the same time, it's the era of Instagrams and TikToks, and there is a lifestyle that you want to achieve. So finding that balance, it's something that is playing very nicely in our advance because of the kind of product that we're putting in the market. So we've actually seen a tremendous amount of growth this year, month over month, as far as dollars transacted. And it's also as a result of us expanding into multiple verticals. We didn't have to necessarily pivot as a company, but accelerate our sort of offerings, right? When the year started, we were offering perhaps 2-3 verticals. And then when this happened in March, we sat down as a team and we said like, hey, look, most of our people are saving for fashion and furniture and things that might not be needed right now. We need to expand. So if they want to save for electronics, if they want to save for tech, if they want to save for other things, we need to offer that. And we cannot do it in Q3 or Q4. We need to do it in early Q2. How are we going to do this as a team? And so it was a period of being very hands-on, down to business, right? Developing sort of alternatives for people to save, and it has paid off over time.
I want to jump to a question we got from Sandeep via LinkedIn. Sandeep asks, have you considered offering options for people to save to donate to charity?
Actually, great question, because we just did that last week. So we have open, people can save for charities that they want to. And that came out, honestly, from a partnership with some influencers where they asked us, hey, look, I want to share these with my following, but I want to make sure that they also have the opportunity to save for these charities. And we open that possibility. So absolutely, you can do that.
Here's another question from Sebastian. Sebastian asks, what do you say to people who ask, why wouldn't I just open up a savings account instead of using Real? Like, he asks, what does Real offer that makes it a more viable offering?
Yeah, so look, savings accounts have been there for ages and ages, right? You can go to any banking institution and just create a savings account and put a picture of whatever you want, right? The reality is that the younger generation doesn't only have friction with certain financial institutions over time, but it's looking for ways to sort of optimize their experiences, right? If you put money on a savings account, you have to track it. You have to track the product that you're saving for, right? You have to make sure that there is enough money on your account every time you make the transfer. If you come to us, we facilitate all that for you, right? If you come to us, you tell us what you want, and we have a team that looks for sales for you, that it's very easy for you to share these with your friends. It's very easy for you, Sebastian, if you make an extra $50 this weekend, to put it towards your goal, right? And there is also the aspect of the constant transparency on this is what you have, this is where you're heading. If you don't have enough money in your bank, we will not make a transaction, right? So there is a lot of advantages of using us as a service, because it's not only that we're helping you save, we're taking you through that journey to make sure you achieve your goal.
It's interesting because, services like Betterment or Wealthfront, these sort of robo-advisors, they have a similar model, which is goal-oriented. Like you've got different buckets where you could save for college or new home or whatever it is. And that seems to be I mean, do you think that goal-oriented saving is the new model for, especially for younger consumers?
Yeah, think about it, right? Like as humans, we think about the lifestyle that we want to have, and money is the means to an end, right? When you talk about your trip next year with your friends, you're thinking about the experiences that you're going to have, not the perhaps the $1,000 that you need to set aside to get towards that trip, right? So definitely understanding that the majority of consumers, there's perhaps 5% of customers that feel very comfortable connecting a bank account, feel very comfortable with numbers, right? And then they can go and set up a savings account with a bank or a savings account with a product that is very numbers driven. Then if you're talking about masses, right? Masses are used to being targeted with the lifestyle, right? But not on how you achieve that lifestyle. And so definitely goal-oriented is the way to go when it comes to savings because it aligns with the reality of a digital world where we're consuming the lifestyle that we want 24/7 in our devices.
You mentioned how you responded to consumer demand by creating new verticals for new categories of products, because obviously people were and have been, there's data, we know that people have been saving more this year. What has been the financial impact of the pandemic on your business? Have you seen a drop off? Have you seen an increase in revenue? What have you seen so far?
So look, we saw a big increase on dollars transacted. And the reason why that's very interesting to us is because by expanding to other verticals, we started also getting more of the share of wallet from the customers that we also already had. So not only attracting new customer base, but also telling our customers, hey, now you can start saving for your Christmas budget with us, not only, the TV or not only the computer. So we started seeing more of a 360 into the life of our customer. As far as purchases, what was very interesting for us in March, which was something that made us sort of rethink the way that we see the business in certain ways, is that when COVID happened, we saw people that kept saving, but they didn't want to place the orders right away. And that was fascinating to us because we saw the savings transacted, right, kept the same, and then on the contrary, they increased tremendously. Like November was 24% higher than the previous month, right? So it's increasing at a very rapid pace. However, the sales, people are like, you know what, actually, because that's something that we offer, transferring. Actually, instead of placing that order of the shoes, can I transfer these to a computer? It's going to take me a little bit longer to get there, but I want to save for those things. Can I transfer these to furniture? Furniture and electronics was something that increased tremendously on the platform, as well as travel, because obviously it's new, right? So, but we saw that behavior of people moving money around more than ever. In fact, over 20% of the items that people save for, they transfer in between items because there is this element of gamification on your savings that has resonated really good with our demographic.
We have a couple minutes left, and I want to get to at least one more question from our listeners. This one is from Robin Davies by Facebook. Robin asks, what's been the biggest driver of awareness for Real? How are you reaching new customers? How are you finding, new people to use your service? Because that's the most expensive part of a startup is user acquisition. In a time when we're all kind of stuck at home and everyone's now using digital marketing, how are you reaching customers?
So look, there are a couple of different ways. I think one thing that I would pull out there for every entrepreneur, it's think about organic loops, right? How can you leverage your own customers to spread the word to others, right? So how do you leverage their likelihood, the fact that they like your brand, so that they can tell others and begin having that ripple effect. So we've captured customers different ways. Obviously, because of the nature of our savings platform, we promote our product through Instagram, right? We promote our product through Facebook, to places where people are looking for aspiration, right? In fact, we have a customer who's great, like one of her reviews, she called us her actionable Pinterest. She's like, in Pinterest, I put things on my board. With you guys, I'm actually putting money towards what I want, which I love that. And then besides paid, obviously our own channels, email, it's a great source of conversion for us. And then all of these organic loops. And then as we look into 2021 and expanding into distribution channels, we have a couple of really great partnerships that are coming into play. I cannot say now, but you'll see in Q1 and Q2. And then we'll start being more at the point of purchase, and that unlocks a different distribution channel for us.
Wow. Daniela Corrente, founder and CEO of Real, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me today.
And thank you everybody for watching. A couple quick announcements before we go. We are back here, same time, same place next week, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern for another live How I Built This Resilience conversation. Please join us. Please be part of this this community. I'm going to say hi to a couple of people who've been watching. Murray in Peterborough, Canada, Donna Loss in Seattle, Yvette Mason in Vermont, Mary Eileen in Amherst. Hello, Mary. Robin Ward in Louisiana, and so many others. Cynthia in Melbourne, Australia. Hello. Thank you for watching. Quick little announcement about our podcast this week. It's the story of Kodiak Cakes. It's the third biggest pancake mix brand in the United States. It's gone from zero to a $200 million company in 15 years. And it is an incredible story of failure and collapse and crisis until it was no longer failure, collapse, and crisis. Next Monday, we have a new episode of How I Built This coming out. It is the story of Riot Games, one of the biggest video game companies in the world. The co-founders created League of Legends, one of the most played PC games ever. It's an incredible story of how they changed an industry that is now 4 times bigger than the film and television industry. It's an incredible story. And finally, where is it? Oh, here it is. The How I Built This book is still available. It's a great Christmas gift, available in bookshops, independent bookstores particularly, and signed copies are available in a bunch of them. You can order it online or however you order books, so check it out. Once again, Daniela Corrente, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.